Hi guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to AFC Game by Game. This is my preview for the game on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff at the King Power Stadium. Arsenal travelling to Leicester on the back of that dismal defeat on the opening day of the season, 4-3 loss at home to Liverpool. And this is a massive game, a massive opportunity in which to bounce back. But worryingly, we go into this game just as unprepared as we did heading into the first game of the season against Liverpool. In fact, you could make the argument that we're even more unprepared given that Iwobi and Aaron Ramsey are both going to be out for potentially up to a month, which is a very concerning thought. I do hope that we go into this game with a lot more energy, a lot more charisma than we did in the opening game of the season. It has been well noted that we don't perform well on the opening day, but it's still 3 points lost, no matter what history tells you. We can't just brush it aside. We can't just ignore it and say, oh, yeah, Arsenal always lose on the first game of the season. This game that we've got is another big opportunity where we could miss out on another 3 points. It's a huge opportunity where we could revitalise our start to the season, but it's also a big opportunity where we could potentially lose 2 games in a row. Leicester, despite losing at the KC Stadium as a whole last weekend, are still a very, very enthusiastic team, a team that I think is still going to do well this Premier League season, despite losing N'Golo Kante. They've still got a very disciplined back four. They've still held on to Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez. We go into this game on the recent news that Mahrez is committing his long-term future to Leicester, signing a 5-year deal with them. On the topic of that, I've got a lot of respect and a lot of time for Riyad Mahrez for doing that. You know, there are a lot of clubs that would have been in for him, I'm sure, this summer. I reckon that United, City, ourselves, Liverpool, etc. were snooping around him. Whether anyone made an official bid for him remains to be seen. I don't know about that. But there was certainly going to be a lot of interest and a lot of speculation about whether he'd remain at Leicester. And to remain at a club that maybe definitely, well, I wouldn't say definitely, but maybe won't achieve what they did last season in terms of winning the Premier League. I think it's very unlikely that they'll do that again. It's good to see that someone has actually, remained loyal to a club that maybe hasn't got the glamorous name of someone like Real Madrid or Barcelona. So I've got a lot of respect for Mahrez for doing that. But it just makes this game that little bit more tense on Saturday. He's going to be able to prove a point against us. The exact same for Jamie Vardy. They're going to be lethal up front. I would expect Mahrez to have a bit more enthusiasm about him because he's been very off the ball at times, especially in the Community Shield. He looked a bit precarious in that game at the KC. So big point for him to prove heading into this match. And we are welcomed with the return of Laurent Koscielny, Olivier Giroud and Mesut Ozil to the Arsenal team. I would hope that we are going to see the inclusion of at least 2 of those names within the Arsenal starting 11 because they were so sorely missed in the game against Liverpool. One player that we definitely need to be putting in the defence is Laurent Koscielny. We simply can't be going into this game with Chambers and holding at centre-half again. They're too inexperienced. That was evidently clear in the game against Liverpool. We just need a head, an experienced leader to start alongside them. For me, Koscielny, he's vice-captain at Arsenal, essentially. So for me, he's going to be starting alongside either Chambers or Holding. It just remains to be seen whether we'll start one of those 2. Maybe we could even start Nacho Monreal alongside them, but I think it would make sense to start one of Chambers or Holding, given that they are naturally predominant centre-halves. But it's a question of which one do you want to see start there. I think given that Chambers in the 2014-15 season, he started the season really well. I remember he was very efficient in the game at Crystal Palace when we beat them 2-1. And he looks really efficient alongside Laurent Koscielny. And they seem to be forming quite a good partnership in that season. Of course, that was 2 years ago. Times have changed. But I would quite like to see him start alongside Laurent Koscielny and really kickstart his career again because it has stalled somewhat. The thing with Chambers is what really concerns me about him is that he looks like a rabbit in the headlights an awful lot of the time, which is very concerning, especially in that game against Liverpool. And I'm bringing that game up a lot, but it just highlights everything that's gone wrong for some of our players in the past couple of years. Chambers was very, very confident in the first half, as was Holding at times. But as soon as that goal went in from Coutinho, absolutely shattered his confidence, and he was pretty appalling for that second half, despite getting himself on the score sheet. I want to see him start alongside Laurent Koscielny. I think it's too much too soon for Rob Holding to start him away at the home of the Premier League champions. I know that sounds weird to say, but Leicester are the champions. We have to treat them with the respect that they deserve. The fullbacks, I think, pit themselves. Bellerin and Monreal, checking goal. It's a rather sturdy defence, one that's filled with pace and energy and should be able to cope with the threat that Leicester have got going forward. But Mahrez, Vardy are always going to be a danger, as is Okazaki. They've got options of the bench in Ochoa. A team that have got a lot of alternatives in a lot of different positions. So a team that we have certainly got to be wary of. In midfield, that's where things start to get a little bit more complicated. We saw Onana and Coughlin start against Liverpool again. I'm bringing that game up. That's what I'm trying to say. But I think we can afford to be a little bit more offensive as we're going to have Koscielny reinstated into the Arsenal 11. So maybe I'd be opting to have Granit Xhaka start alongside Santi Cazorla, then to playing in a midfield pivot. But I don't particularly want to see El Nene drop. He's had such a fantastic pre-season, wasn't someone that performed badly last weekend. So maybe we could look to play Xhaka and El Nene. Their passing is certainly something that's going to be massively important and influential in this game. It's going to be one in the midfield, in my opinion, this match. I think that's certainly where we can override them, given that they are without N'Golo Kante. They're going to have Andy King playing in midfield, certainly a player that I feel we can overpower with the talent that we've got in the names of Xhaka, El Nene, Mesut Ozil if he is to start this game, Cazorla. And Cazorla is someone that dictates the play. He got an assist in the game last weekend. So for me, Xhaka and Cazorla would be the sensible midfield pivot, but I would have no quibbles whatsoever if El Nene was to start in the game. I mean, one thing we could look to do is, given that we are without Alex Iwobi and Theo Walcott and Chamberlain, we can't particularly rely on them too much. We could look to play either Cazorla or Wilshere out on that right-hand side, Mesut Ozil through the middle, and then Alexis Sanchez on the left-hand side. Whether we'd rush Ozil back into the game so soon, I'm not too sure. I personally think we'll see Xhaka and Nani line up in front of the defence, and then on the right-hand side, we'll see. I think we'll lean towards Oxlade-Chamberlain in this game, given that he showed some very positive spells off the bench last weekend. Cazorla through the middle, and then Alexis Sanchez off the left with... I'd like to see Olivier Giroud start the game because we missed him so much in the game against Liverpool. And, you know, like I say, that game just highlighted so many things that have been wrong with us, and so many players that I think we undervalue at times that are so influential to the team. Olivier Giroud being one of them. We missed his hold-up play. We missed him in defensive situations, especially from set pieces. So Giroud, for me, would start up front. And if we aren't going to start him, I don't particularly want to see Theo Walcott or Alexis Sanchez there because they're not strikers. And I'd have no doubts whatsoever in starting Chuba Akpom if Arsene Wenger doesn't feel that Olivier Giroud is ready for this match. So that'd be my Arsenal starting 11. Just reading that back to you, it would be Cech, Bellerin, Koscielny, Chambers, Nacho Monreal, Xhaka, El Nene, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Cazorla, Alexis Sanchez, and Olivier Giroud. I'd love to see Mesut Ozil start this game. I just have a feeling that Wenger's going to keep him wrapped up in cotton wool, something we shouldn't really be affording to do, but I just think that's how it's going to pan out. I've got no problem whatsoever with Santi Cazorla starting the game, but I'm just hoping that every player that goes out there goes out with a point to prove, especially if Walcott or Chamberlain starts the match. Everything is important for those two this season. Walcott especially, as he's 27 years of age now, and we're still yet to see him fulfill his potential. Chamberlain is 23 years old now. He's hardly the young player that he once was when we first signed him. He has the breakthrough. He has to go over this injury crisis that he seems to be enduring throughout his time at Arsenal. And I want to see him break through because he is one of the most talented players of the club, I believe. He certainly could be a player that's in the mould of Alexis Sanchez. He's got a long way to go. I mean, he is still a young player, but he has to start developing at the age of 23. He has to come through and he has to be getting regular game time this season. We've got a lot of options in the team, and I do hope that we can go to the King Power and get the result that we so evidently need. Given the way things went on the first game of the season, a convincing win at that would certainly lift the hopes of a lot of fans. And I just don't want to see us playing catch-up yet again, because if we do lose and Liverpool, City, United all win this week, and we're 6 points off top, which is shocking to think 2 games into the season, people will start already saying that the title's beyond us at that point. And to be fair, when we're playing catch-up at 6 points behind with 2 games to go, yeah, the title will pretty much be beyond us, which is a horrible thing to say. But that's the reality if we don't progress in the transfer market. That's what we've got to do. We've got to bring in a player in the name of Mustafi. And the fact that talks are supposedly ongoing for over a week now, that's what Sky Sports are reporting. It's just embarrassing that we can't get this deal over the line when other clubs are slapping down money. Everton just getting that deal done with Balassi so soon. Palace sorting out a deal for Christian Benteke. Why can't we just put down the money, which we have? We have an abundance of money. Why can't we just put it down? And why can't we get the player in that we so desperately need? We need a defender even more so than we need a striker, in my opinion. There's talk that we're keeping cash reserves held back because we want to make a massive bid for a striker. Whether that will come in, I don't know. Again, like I said in the review of the Liverpool game, there's all this talk of a madness happening. I'm not going to dwell on that too much because I have no idea what it's about. And if we were to make a £80 million bid for Antoine Griezmann or something like that, I would be absolutely overjoyed, but it still doesn't change the fact that we need a centre-half and we need it desperately soon because we're losing points already this season. So we need to get it over the line ASAP. Leicester away is a very difficult game and one where we could potentially lose points. Both teams go into this game with points to prove. Both teams looking to bounce back from what was a disappointing start to the season. And we just need these points on the board quite desperately because otherwise there are going to be riots, I fear. It is a worrying time to be an Arsenal fan somewhat. But I was going to say I was confident going into this game, but the reality is I'm really, really not. As I said at the start of this video, we are just as unprepared as we were heading into the game against Liverpool. We don't have a new central defender in Koscielny, Ozil, Giroud. We're relying on those players to come in and perform to the best of their ability. They've just had a month off after they performed exceptionally well in the Euros. Will these players be able to perform to their maximum on their first game back? I personally don't think so, but that's the risk we've taken by giving them this extra time off. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen on Saturday evening, but it should be an exciting game nonetheless. I'm just hoping that we can put the Liverpool game to the back of our minds as soon as possible. It was a very, very crushing defeat. I don't want to be talking about same old, but I do fear that I will be come Saturday about 7:30. It's going to be a massive game. I don't know how much I can express that. To have a game this early on in the season that holds so much significance between the two teams is really quite scary. It's quite a scary prospect, especially when we're not prepared going into the game, into this game at this point in the Premier League season. But anyway, guys, please get your score predictions and your team lineups in the comments below. I'll be optimistic, like I was for the Liverpool game, and I'll say that Arsenal are going to come out on top as 2-0 winners with Koscielny back in the team. I would hope we'd show that little more defensive efficiency, but with Callum Chambers looking less and less confident, that really does remain to be seen. Anyway, guys, like I say, get your thoughts in the comments below. Please do drop a like on this video if you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll be speaking to you very, very soon.